Order, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Pavoni?
Here.
Ms. Perez?
Here.
Mr. McIrvin?
Here.
Ms. Witchy?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is a special proclamation.
This proclamation is for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in this community. And whereas in Washington State, 45% of women and 22% of men report having experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. And whereas in King County, 6,657 adults and children received sexual assault services at accredited community sexual assault programs last year. And whereas nationally, 1 in 5 children under 18 are sexually abused, and in King County last year, 2,000 children and youth who have been sexually abused received services from the King County Sexual Assault Resources Center. And whereas in 2016, 18% of 10th graders in Washington reported that they had been made to engage in unwanted kissing or sexual contact. And whereas negative impacts of sexual violence, trauma on women, men, children, and youth include fear, concern for safety, symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, injury, and missed work or school. And whereas working together to educate our community about sexual violence, support survivors when they come forward, speak out against harmful attitudes and actions, and engage in best practice sexual violence prevention work, helps end sexual violence. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim April 2018 to be Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to join me in this special observance and join advocates and communities across the country in taking action to prevent sexual violence. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal in the City of Renton to be affixed on the 2nd day of April 2018, and this is signed by Mayor Dennis Law.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Witchy, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It's my pleasure to invite up Mary Ellen Stone, who's the Executive Director of King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. As everybody knows, Mary Ellen has been running this organization for a long time, and she has done a tremendous job, and this organization has helped so many people over so many years, so it's really great to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Goodness.
Mary Ellen, I think she's going to give you that, and they want to get a
Okay,
picture of you.
Right here. Oh, we have to. Okay. Yes. Got it. Sorry for the croaking here. Thank you, Mayor Law. Thank you, council members. I wanted to say a couple things. You're right. I've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this for a long time together. We had very humble beginnings, starting as Renton Rape Line back in 1976. So and when you think about that, and you think about the Me Too movement, which has happened, and so much awareness, so much coming forward, so much great service, and so much progress we've made. It's been in partnership with the City of Renton. So it's a real pleasure to be here and say thank you for standing with us. Thank you for being loud. I have Be Loud buttons for each one of you. I'll pass these to the clerk. So you can wear them and be loud, because we know we can't stop sexual assault unless we keep talking about it. We have great information on our website, videos that I'm sure you'll be sharing with citizens of Renton. So I want to say thank you again very much. We're making a lot of progress, and you are a critical part of it. Thanks.
Thanks, Mary Ellen. Thank you for being here. Okay, next item is a very special presentation. We're kind of excited about this, even though this is not our presentation. It comes from the state of Washington, from the Washington State Legislature, and we're very pleased to have Representative Steve Berquist here, who is a teacher from the Renton community and represents our city in Olympia, and he's got a special presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For the record, Steve Berquist, State Representative from the 11th District right here in beautiful Renton. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before the Council today on what I think is a topic that we don't speak about enough. It's the good work that citizens do from within our community and how they can give back over so many years, and the recognition that many don't get. Sometimes we have the opportunity to really thank our members of the community for all those years of service and their contributions. And now for me, my relationship with Dr. Colvis began in kindergarten when he was my superintendent of the Renton School District.
Quit bragging, Steve. Just move on.
He retired, I think, 12 years afterwards. So all the way through my senior year, he was there overseeing my education, and he got me elected somehow eventually. I appreciate that. But he also had a very large impact on so many lives in the community through our school district, but as well as through the Renton Bank, the First Savings Bank of Renton, now First Financial, and his role on the foundation as well. That's had a huge impact on our city. And thanks for that, we were able to this year, thanks to Helen Ross, as well as Joe Kiley and many from around the community, we're able to have a resolution that I was able to prime sponsor. So I was the prime sponsor of the resolution in the State House of Representatives, along with Representatives Cliburn, Sen, Santos, and Hudgens. And if it's okay, Mr. Mayor, with you, if I could read the resolution.
Please.
All right. It's whereas Dr. Gary Colvis was a superintendent for the Renton School District from 1974 to 1997, where his steadfast leadership and guidance was seen by many. And whereas Dr. Colvis empowered and encouraged countless teachers, students, and administrators that contributed to the strength and success of the Renton School District. And whereas Dr. Colvis attended Western Washington University for his bachelor's and master's degrees and ultimately obtained his doctorate in educational psychology from the University of Washington. And whereas many of his academic colleagues describe him as a supportive and honest person who is tough-minded, multifaceted, and hardworking. And whereas in his community, Dr. Colvis served as director of First Financial Northwest Bank, a position he held for 36 years, and later served as chairman of the board for 4 years. And whereas Dr. Colvis was able to give back to his community as executive director and trustee of the First Financial Northwest Foundation through various charitable causes, including a recent $3 million donation to the Doug Baldwin Family First Community Center in Renton's Benson Hill, Cascade neighborhood. And whereas various Renton civic organizations have benefited from the leadership of Dr. Colvis, including the Renton Rotary Club, where he served as a past president and is still active. And whereas Dr. Colvis also took great pride as a college basketball coach and trainer at Western Washington University. And whereas he was a high school teacher and as coach led the Arlington High School football team through an undefeated season. And whereas Dr. Colvis has dedicated an immeasurable amount of personal time to his community and has shown his devotion through acts of service and valuable contributions. And whereas Dr. Colvis and his wife, Elizabeth, have raised 2 boys and 2 girls, all graduates of Renton High School, during their marriage of over 60 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Washington State House of Representatives recognizes Dr. Gary Colvis for his long dedication as a teacher, superintendent, and director in Washington State, and above all wish him the best health and happiness as in retirement. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be immediately transmitted by the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives to Dr. Gary Colvis. Thank you.
So Gary, you're going to have to turn this way so we can get a picture of you.
Perfect. And I'll have you both take 2 steps out. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, and 3.
Now, we got some rules for you. I want you to go to the podium, be very polite, but you get to speak for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to have everybody come up for a picture. Okay?
Well, what a surprise this is, and I'm just amazed at the pledge of silence to this whole thing. I worked a few of my old friends over, and they are old friends, not new friends, I can tell you that. I didn't know it. Steve, this is a very extensive test of history. I had to wake up a little bit to make sure all those things fit somehow along that with. But yeah, I've had a great time in Renton. Obviously, no one person at all can do the kinds of things I think that this city has done over the years. And I think the coordination and the cooperation of obviously the city and the many other very significant groups has made this an absolute fun place to work and have a good time and do the kinds of things that people do in a community. And obviously, my time on the bank has been wonderful. A few changes over nearly 40 years with the original community bank that is very different now than it was as banks have changed during the time. Tremendous learning experience. I seem to got involved in some things that were not all lovely and easy to do to start with. There was a hump or two we had to go over and a challenge or two along the way, both in the school business and obviously in the banking business. But it's been fun enjoying that. I've been around great people that have done that and had great support of a family. And so my wife Elizabeth was here, my daughter Tammy here, who currently lives in Santiago, Chile, and obviously Lisa, who lives at Ennis Hardin and Shoreline School District. So we are 4 kids still pretty much together. Matter of fact, we had all of our sons with us over Easter at Whidbey Island. Couldn't quite corner all of the 8 grandkids that come there. They kind of go their independent way. Went a little later in life, but it's been absolutely great. So Steve is kind of interesting. Steve gets involved, as you know. Sometimes you may not know, his mother was very active in the bank for many, many years. Retired, I bet she's been out there, gone about 10 years or so with that, but has been very active, and obviously the Bergquists have done an awful lot in support of this community too. So great to see a city council like this, like you people who work cooperatively and work together. Trust me, we've had some city councils in my history in Renton who didn't love each other all the time and had a tough time coming to some conclusions on things, but you know, differences of opinion are worthy and necessary and the like, but ultimately you've got to come together and get some kind of compromise and move ahead collectively. And I think you as a group with Dennis's leadership, I think have done a great, great job of that. Dennis has been a great friend of mine for a long, long time. Get an opportunity to recreate a little with Dennis and have some substantive discussions from time to time, and it's been very worthwhile. So with that, thank you very much. It's an absolutely complete surprise. I couldn't believe what there could be at the City Council. And Mary Ellen goes back a long, long ways. I remember the early 70s when you were starting and the work you did is getting attention. And she has become, if you haven't noticed, she has become a master politician over the years. She is very, very good at working with the legislature, very sincere, spends a lot of time and energy and really for a tremendous cause with that. So I'm certainly appreciative that she's being recognized tonight with the proclamation. So thank you for all you people that were involved. Helen, you have been quiet in this whole thing. Joanne can't work out anything with Joe's. I see Joe's involved with this, and Dennis is involved. What can this possibly be? And she's her usual self. You know, it's hard to get information from Joanne. But thank you, people, for the time and energy you take for doing things like this and for the work you do in the community.
Well, congratulations, Gary. I do want to say that Steve mentioned a lot of things that Gary's been involved with, but he, like a number of our former superintendents, have continued to be very, very active in doing great things for our community. Gary's been one of the founding members of the Renton Community Foundation. He was elected a board commissioner for Valley Medical Center, still on the Harborview board and Harborview and UW Medicine board. Still remains very active in the community. And so we're really pleased, Steve, that you brought or utilized the city as a venue to present this award, because it's really great that all of our citizens that are watching tonight can see it. So we're going to take a photo now.
I think everybody should. Family.
Yes.
Sure, right?
You gonna get in?
These are the important people right there.
Perfect.
One more.
Okay. Hey, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Your role with this.
Brian Farrell.
How you doing? Don't worry, it was just me.
Thank you, thank you.
I know.
They're gonna photobomb.
And their classmates. I kind of wanted to photobomb a little bit back at
I should have thought you were out here. I was busy.
Congratulations.
How's it been? You being the last one.
I know, I'm in the shadows over here. Congratulations.
You been traveling for a while?
Yeah. Until May.
Shit.
Yeah, nicely done.
Administrative report. Administrative report. I have like 10 of these. No, I tried to give them to my middle schoolers, but they're too young.
1 year younger than me in school.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So April is Safe Digging Month, and on February 6th, Governor issued an proclamation, and this was Washington's digging law, where he asked that people call 811, where you could basically let your utility know before you start digging. The call is free, and it notifies your utility company before you would start digging. This is a one-call center, and it allows professional dispatchers to basically let them know, so that if there is a digging site, they could let people know. And in case there are locations of underground lines, they could make sure that the digging crew knows of any danger. The solid waste utility is also launching a campaign. This is the BYOB campaign, and it's actually Bring Your Own Bag campaign, where they're trying to make sure that we reduce the use of plastic bags and litter throughout the city. The public is encouraged to bring reusable plastic bags when shopping, and we're also having an online survey to find out more about the use of plastic bags. The survey is available on rentonwa.gov. So if you have any questions, you can direct your questions to the solid waste utility. We have another exciting campaign, which is the Coffee with a Cop events with the Renton police officers. The mission of Coffee with a Cop is to break down barriers between Renton police officers and the community, and it allows our community and citizens to meet with our police officers, to ask questions, and basically for the officers to get to know our neighbors. The next Coffee with a Cop event is this Wednesday, April 4th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Starbucks on 68th Rainier Avenue South. We have several street maintenance projects. Information about these street maintenance and traffic impacts can be found at rentonwa.gov, traffic impacts. Several of the limited impact closures can be found on our website. Again, the site is rentonwa.gov/traffic impacts. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Preeti. Moving on to, we don't have anybody signed up for audience comments, so moving on to consent agenda, we have 8 items for council consideration. Are there any items council member like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
seeing none, I move that the consent agenda be adopted as published.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Person, that council approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Corman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this week I did do some
You
work.
did some work.
So, Transportation Committee has a report to present.
Megan, can you note that? Thank you.
Boy, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your capturing that.
This committee report is regarding the Renton Airport Advisory Committee appointments. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve Mayor Law's appointments of Mr. Shane Carlson to the Renton Airport Advisory Committee, Airport at Large primary position, for an unexpired term expiring 5/7/19, and Mr. Salim Neese to the Renton Airport Advisory Committee, Mercer Island Neighborhood position, for an unexpired term that expires 5/7/19. And this is signed by the committee chair and members.
I move the council concur in the committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Mr. Person, that council concur with the Transportation Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pavoni?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Perez?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. McGurven?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Witchy?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Person?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moving on to legislation, we have one resolution this evening.
Okay, this is a resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, adopting a revised 457B Deferred Compensation Plan Agreement to be a multi-employer agreement among the city, the Renton Regional Fire Authority, and TIAA, and adopting the 457B Investment Committee's revised operating guidelines, which further establish the authority and fiduciary responsibility of the committee.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Corman, that this resolution be adopted as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, moving on to new business, Mr. Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, April 9th at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, the committee of whole will meet. We have one item on the agenda. It is the joint meeting with the Renton Municipal Arts Commission. And that is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corman?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Pavoni?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have one meeting to announce on April 9th at 5:30 in the council conference room. The Public Safety Committee will be meeting. We have 2 items to discuss. The first is a live and free contract briefing, and then emerging issues in public safety. That is all,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
No new business, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. McGurven?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Witchy?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and Mr. Person?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On April 9th at 4 p.m. in the council conference room, the Finance Committee will meet. We have 5 topics: the Sunset Neighborhood Park Federal Land and Water Conservation Grant, Sunset Neighborhood Park King County Youth and Amateur Sports Fund Grant, 2018 Carry Forward First Quarter Budget Amendment. vouchers, and emerging issues in revenue systems. And also, Mr. Mayor, I received a call today from Marilyn Edlin, who has a piece of property at 937 South Carr Road. And within the last 3 months, she's had about 6 cars come off the road and into the ditch next to her house and damage their fence, and one time run into their house. So I would like to refer that topic to the Transportation Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Corman, that accidents involving an address on Carr Road be referred to the Transportation Committee. Do you have information that you would like us to prepare for you, or?
She's going to be sending me a list of all the events, and then
Okay.
I'll forward that to you.
Okay, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And Mr. Mayor, her concern is these accidents require the car coming down the hill to cross the center line and 2 lanes, and she's really concerned that somebody is going to get killed, being hit head-on. She's more concerned about that than she is the property damage, but
Yeah.
she said over the last 10 years, she's had to spend about $40,000 of their own money refixing things on their property, so I think
Okay.
it takes a serious look at it.
And if you're able to get recent dates, then we can pull those reports.
She's
Okay,
sending that to me, she's doing her research.
okay, great. Okay, what's the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Pavoni, that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.